Good morning everyone, I am Dr. Gitika. Today we'll be discussing about shoulder dystocia. This video is for undergraduate, postgraduate students and the maternity staff. As we all know that shoulder dystocia is an obstetric emergency and we all should be very well versed with the maneuvers which are done to release shoulder dystocia. So this video will tell you what a shoulder dystocia is, what are the risk factors associated with it, and what maneuvers are we doing to relieve shoulder dystocia. So let's go through the video. So shoulder dystocia is an obstetric emergency in which there is difficulty in delivering the fetus shoulders after the head has been delivered. Here the anterior shoulders get stuck behind the symphysis pubes and the posterior shoulder gets stuck at sacral promontory. This leads to stretching of the brachial plexus and its injury, which can eventually lead to Erb's palsy or Klumskay's palsy. If we talk about the risk factors which are associated with shoulder dystocia, they can be broadly divided into antepartum and intrapartum risk factors. In antepartum risk factors, we have previous shoulder dystocia, in which case the risk increases tenfold. Maternal BMI more than 30 also increases the risk. Fetal macrosomia, that is weight more than 4.5, and diabetes mellitus in mother also increase the risk. In intrapartum risk factors, we have prolonged first stage, prolonged second stage, induced labor, instrumental delivery, and oxytocin augmentation. So, when we encounter a shoulder dystocia, what should we do? And what steps should be followed? First thing is that we shouldn't panic and we should always call for help. We should call our seniors, anesthetist and pediatrician. There is an acronym to know the management of shoulder dystocia, which is known by HELPER. Here, H stands for call for help. E stands for consider giving episiotomy. L is for legs, that is, we have to move the legs in hyperflex and abducted position, which is McRoberts maneuver. P is for suprapubic pressure. This can be given constantly or in rocking fashion. E is for entering the pelvis. R is for removal of the posterior arm. And further R is for roll on all four, that is the Gaskin maneuver. So, as we can see in this video, they are performing McRoberts maneuver. The maternal thighs have been abducted and hyperflexed on the abdomen. And then the person who is conducting the delivery gives axial traction for 30 seconds. If this maneuver fails to deliver the baby, then we have to add suprapubic pressure. This suprapubic pressure can be given constantly or in a rocking fashion from the posterior aspect of the anterior shoulder. The aim is to rotate the baby's bis acromion diameter into oblique diameter. Then we have second line maneuvers in which we have Rubin 1, Rubin 2 and wood screw maneuver. So we will go through them one by one. In Rubin 1 maneuver, we are applying suprapubic pressure through the abdomen. So we are not entering inside. We are just giving a suprapubic pressure through the abdomen. This is to rotate the bis acromion diameter into oblique. In Rubin 2, we are introducing our hand inside the vagina, so we can consider giving episiotomy at this stage. We will introduce our two fingers towards the posterior aspect of the anterior shoulder and we will try to rotate this shoulder into oblique position so that the bis acromion diameter comes into oblique position and the shoulders get released. The third maneuver is the wood screw maneuver. In this, both the hands are introduced. That is, two fingers of right hand which lie on the posterior aspect of the anterior shoulder and two fingers of left hand on the posterior aspect of the anterior shoulder. And we rotate the fetal shoulders by 180 degree. So that the posterior shoulder, it becomes anterior shoulder, and the anterior shoulder becomes the posterior shoulder, and they are eventually released from pubic symphysis and sacropromontory respectively. Next we have extraction of the posterior arm. In this, hand is introduced inside the vagina through the posterior aspect of the maternal pelvis in a cone-shaped manner. We will catch hold of the wrist of the baby of the posterior arm, and it is swiped across the baby's chest and it is delivered. This decreases the basocromion diameter by a width of an arm, and the shoulders can get released. So this is a video which is showing how we are doing extraction of the posterior arm. We can see that the operator has introduced his hand along the posterior aspect of the maternal pelvis, and gradually he is swiping the baby's arm across the chest, and the baby is being delivered after that. So in case this maneuver also fails, then we can roll the patient on all four. This is known as Gaskin maneuver, and it is known to decrease the maternal pelvis diameter to some extent. But this can only be done in thin-built patients. The third line maneuvers include Giovanelli procedure, in which the baby is replaced and we perform cesarean, cutting of fetal clavicle, and performing symphysiotomy. We should document everything which has been done in a proper proforma. So some places have shoulder dystocia documentation form, and which is to be filled duly. That is, when we encountered shoulder dystocia, who all were called, and when were the maneuvers given, and when was the baby delivered. Stating the problem clearly, immediately calling the pediatrician, not giving fundal pressure but giving suprapubic pressure, vaginal access posteriorly, getting the whole hand in, don't keep pulling if maneuver has not worked, documentation, clear, concise, and communication are some of the important points while dealing with shoulder dystocia. So shoulder dystocia is an unpredictable emergency, and these are the 8 P's to deal with it. So in conclusion, shoulder dystocia is an acute obstetric emergency. We cannot predict when and in whom this can occur. Risk factors can be identified. Staff needs to be ready and aware through regular education and training, and incident reporting form should be filled.